So some of you may know about the One Marvelous Scene project, where all your favorite movie YouTube kids are taking their favorite MCU scenes and talking about why it's their favorite. And here I am thinking I wasn't invited when I was, and I didn't check my email. Now lately I've been avoiding talking about the MCU as much because I feel like I kind of covered everything. I mean, I reviewed every single MCU movie that ever existed, and then I've reviewed every single one that has come out since then, and people are still asking me to do MCU videos. My channel is not called the MCU Variety Hour, but even so, I can't deny the fact that I really do enjoy these movies. And during my big review series, I talked about a lot of the scenes in these movies that I love. I love the ending of the first Avenger with that powerful cut to black.
You gonna be okay?
Yeah, I had a date.
I love the opening scene from Age of Ultron. Even though I don't like Age of Ultron as a whole, that scene's really cool, with the badass splash page of all of our heroes up until this point. And this scene is cute in retrospect because I remember thinking we'd never get more heroes than this on screen at one time. And now there's like double as many. But out of every scene I could choose, I have to pick the final scene in Avengers Infinity War. What I'm gonna go ahead and call the farm scene. If I had to make this video super short and explain why I like this scene in just a few seconds, I'd say it's because this is what I always wanted from these movies. And I explained my love for this scene before, but I'll elaborate a little more now. Every single year that the MCU has existed, my expectations have been subverted. Back when things first started out, I was surprised that Iron Man 1 was popular at all, because Iron Man was never really that big of a deal. This movie made him pretty cool, and I remember thinking if they can make Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America into cool superheroes in these movies, then that would be pretty impressive. Because if you guys don't know, back in the day, the Avengers kind of sucked ass.
We are known as the Mighty Avengers.
Cap, Thor, and Tony were all really boring for a long time, and the Justice League kind of outran them up until the MCU started. It's weird to think about because nowadays, if you compare the Justice League and the Avengers, it's like no fucking contest. So when Iron Man came out and everybody loved this new, fun version of Tony Stark, I was pleasantly surprised. Then to top it off, we have a post-credit scene where they tease an Avengers movie. And I remember thinking to myself, that's never gonna fucking happen. Then fast forward a few years and I get proven wrong. Really wrong. But Marcus, what does this have to do with the farm scene? Shut up, I'm getting to it. The idea is that every year I've said, well, that'll never happen. And then I always get proven wrong. I thought the first Avengers movie would never come out, and I was wrong. I thought Spider-Man would never be in the Avengers movies, and I was wrong. I thought Thanos would never be popular, and I was really wrong. Then when I go to see Infinity War with my friends, I told them, hey, in the comic, after Thanos kills half the universe, he ends up on a farm. But don't worry, guys, that's never gonna happen. Well, by golly, I think they've made a fool of me yet again. While this scene was playing on opening day, everybody was losing their shit and getting upset while I was sitting there and grinning like a dang doofus. Because this is what I, personally, always wanted. These movies have always followed kind of a strict formula. Most of the MCU movies are pretty much the same movie, and they were criticized for a long time because people said they were too similar. I personally did that a lot. I remember back before Infinity War came out, all of my videos have me saying that I'm sick of the Marvel formula. But this is why I love Infinity War and this scene so much, because even if you read the comics like I do, you probably still didn't fully expect it. In the comics, sometimes things just don't work out. The villains win every once in a while too, and sometimes it's cool to see everything go wrong. In the movies, up until this point, we've seen these characters overcome every single problem that they've faced. We have like 50 movies of the heroes just saving the day. The only superhero movie where that doesn't happen is probably Watchmen, if that counts. And in Infinity War, we have this perfect balancing act where it sort of makes you feel like everything will still end up just fine, because up until this point, you have no reason to think that it won't. During this movie, our heroes aren't really that worried or pressed for time. They're joking around and securing small victories over the course of the film. And Thor alone was so confident that he'd beat Thanos that plenty of people probably thought he actually would do it. I mean, hell, he almost does. If this was any other Marvel movie, things would have just ended here. But they don't.
Gotcha, bitch!
The snap heard across the world. This moment made Thanos a household name. and that's something I never thought would happen in my life. I was on a plane a few months ago and I was listening to these old people behind me talking about that new Avengers movie with Thanos. Yes, I heard a Midwestern baby boomer say the name Thanos, and I can't stop thinking about that. That's how much of an impact this movie had. Many people have said before that this is basically the Thanos movie, and they're totally right. He has the most screen time out of any character, coming in at 29 minutes. For comparison, Tony Stark and Thor have 19 and 14 minutes respectively. This story doesn't bother talking about any of the other characters either, they assume we already know them. But we don't know this guy, so most of the film is devoted to showing us scenes with him, or scenes of other people talking about him. This is important because we haven't really met him until this movie, but he's been talked about a lot. And if they messed this up and didn't make Thanos a good character, this whole movie would have fallen apart. The movie starts with him, and appropriately enough, it ends with him. Think about it, the movie could have ended with Captain America's last line, which I would have been fine with. Let's just imagine for a second, let's play pretend. We're gonna look at how the movie would have been if it ended like this.
Oh, God.
Personally, I think that would have been okay. It would have been alright. And honestly, the way this shot is set up, I thought that's where things were going to end. But no, to really solidify this movie's purpose, it has to end with Thanos. Almost everything after the snap is devoid of music. We watch in silence as our favorite characters get dusted. We have nothing in the film to distract us from what is happening. And then when Thanos comes in, we get the haunting score by Alan Silvestri, which makes this scene feel like a eulogy. After all of this, there isn't a stylish credit sequence like all the other MCU movies have. It's just a black screen with text. This ending makes you pay attention. It has no excess at all. And if you ask me, the ending of a movie is the most important part. Like I said, when I was deciding what scene to do, I was really close to picking the last scene from Captain America 1. Just because I love when movies have really good endings. Something that sticks with you, something that makes you remember that movie. Captain America 1 isn't even really that good of a movie, but I remember it fondly because I really liked the ending. That was the last impression I had of it. Plus, most Marvel movies end on a line, which makes it more powerful. I had a date. I am Iron Man. These moments are cool because of what the characters are saying. But the final scene in this movie is purely visual. It's purely emotional. It gives you time to sit and realize, oh shit, he actually did it. And what I love is that Thanos isn't laughing maniacally, he isn't gloating, he's just chilling. He legitimately believes that he did the right thing, and he conveys that without saying anything. If you ask me, this is perfect. I personally love movies that just bum you out. And I also love comic book movies. This movie is both, and that's why I love it. I saw this movie 5 times in theaters because I loved seeing 5 different audiences cheer when they see Captain America for the first time. I also loved seeing 5 different audiences cry when Spider-Man dies right in front of them. The final scene in this movie serves as the last word, the last impression that we've all been thinking about for a whole year now. I haven't seen it yet, but I can guarantee you that Endgame will carry the somber tone that this movie ends on, only to slowly transition into the heroics that we're used to over the course of that 3-hour film. It just amazes me that a movie with jokes like this...
What exactly is it that they do?
Kick names, take ass.
Yeah, that's right.
ends on something so chilling while still being tonally consistent. So personally, I'm done going into these movies thinking I know what I'm getting into. From now on, I'm just gonna shut up and enjoy the ride, because after this scene, I personally know that I should be expecting the unexpected.